question. Met this female a while back, met all the requirements, but she had a boyfriend. Now she hit me up single, told her what I'm looking for, said she's not ready, but still hits me up even though I cut contact. How to handle? This is a good one. This happens to so many guys.
Yeah.
Well, to go first, or sorry, go ahead. You take it first.
Like I said earlier, when a woman reaches out, it's because she's thinking about you in that moment. She's missing you in that moment, and she wants to connect with you. Sometimes, though, when women reach out, especially if they reach out repeatedly after they seem to have rejected you, they're testing whether you're still there. A lot of women just want the comfort of knowing that they can get attention on demand and that there's a man waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
So I think that if you've made it clear what your intentions are vis-a-vis a specific woman, and for whatever reason she says, I don't really want that relationship with you, or I'm not ready for that kind of thing, say, hey, no problem, hit me up when you are. You know, some weeks, some months, some years might go by, you get that call, and you can assume in that moment that she's ready to move things forward. But it could just be a test.
Yeah.
If you would then ask her out and say, okay, great. It's nice to hear from you. Why don't we get a drink and catch up? And she says, oh yeah, I'm not really. You say, hey, no problem. And then you never bring it up again.
Yeah.
She might reach out, but I wouldn't respond every time.
Yeah.
And I would, if I did respond, I would respond with very low apparent interest.
Yeah.
That woman knows what you want.
Yeah.
So she knows how to unlock greater attention if she's so motivated to do.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a mystery. She doesn't know what she needs to say or do in order to capture more of your attention. But again, you don't want to give that attention away for free.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, one way to screen is like, hey, let's go get a drink. Or, dude, fuck, you know, if girls play games, you just invite them straight to the house like that. And just like, the more games she's played, the less she deserves any type of commitment on your end.
The problem is if you meet her under that premise because you told her what you wanted from the very beginning and she wants to do something different, you meet it under her program, which means you're following her pattern, you're following her setup, which is going to be out for you. So I would just say, if she's not following you in your program, then what's the point of meeting her?
And I want to also bring some attention to what the doc was saying, which I think is very important for the guys to know. They polled like a bunch of married women, and they said something around 50% of married women have a backup guy.
It's only 50?
Yeah, it's probably higher, but they don't want it's self-reported, and we know how that goes.
There you go.
I don't think men, understand the importance of backup men for women in their sexual strategy and how that greatly influences their perceived value, how they view the world, how they view men in general. It creates a lot of comfort and security for them to know that there's other men out there. So, and that's why one of the number one things I do if a girl does want something serious with me, as I tell them, you're not having no guy friends either. Like, you're not going to sit there and enjoy the comfort of potentially having some other simp in the background, right? Because I already know he's always going to be there, so you might as well cut him off now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not going to sit here and tolerate that. Because when women think that they have options, they can replace you. Behavior changes a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to mitigate risk. People can call me a asshole or whatever, but I look at myself as I'm a lovable dictator. And I think women want a dictator, both in the bedroom, physically, literally, and outside of the bedroom as well.
A benevolent dictatorship.
Yes, a benevolent dictatorship. So.
Well, what we're really talking about here is that optionality is power. And that's one of the main reasons why women they would be loath to give up an Instagram account, say, with 100,000 male followers.
Yes.
Like
they will fight tooth and nail to have that Instagram.
And they might say, and they might be correct, that they would never, ever entertain a sexual relationship with any of those followers, which could be true because women generally don't screw their fans, as it were.
True. Yeah.
But the reason why she's not giving it up is because that apparent optionality gives her greater leverage in the relationship with you.
Bam.
There's plausible deniability there. I don't think many women would admit that.
Yep.
But that's why that occurs.
Yeah.
And it's another reason why a lot of guys would be loath to give up some of his other women when he's entering into a monogamistic relationship if that serves him.
Yeah.
It's a power struggle. Because once she has that leverage of saying, you know what, I can find guys here. If you don't do what I want, I can go over here. Okay, well, bye. I can leave.
It needs to be unilateral disarmament if you're going to go down that road. Yeah. And this is something that I think would save a lot of relationships. Men don't hit women. We don't look kindly on that.
Yeah.
Like we say that physical violence in our relationship is wrong.
Of course. Yeah.
Why is that? Because most guys would if we had a no holds barred fight with a woman, would mop the floor. It wouldn't even be close.
Yeah.
And so we say it's just not a fair fight, so we can't have this on the table. By the same token, in a no holds barred verbal argument, most women will mop the floor with most men.
Yeah.
They are more emotionally aggressive. They know more emotional judo and kung fu than men do. What we've done is we've disarmed the physical aggression from men, but we haven't yet fully asked women to divest themselves of their emotional aggression or their potential for emotional aggression.
Wow.
And that creates a power imbalance. By the same token, if we're in a monogamous relationship and I've given up all my women, but you've and all of my access and opportunity to other women, and you still maintain great optionality with your online presence, that's an asymmetrical disarmament. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So if power is a fact of life, power is a fact of every relationship, but if the imbalance gets too much, it generally leads to corruption and all forms of abuse, regardless of whether it's the man who's more powerful or the woman.
And she thinks what? She's better than you.
Yeah. Though I agree with you that too much power will corrupt, right? I forget what's the phrase. It's
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's better wielded by the man than by the woman.
You can make that argument. One definition that I read of evil that really resonated with me is that evil is the unsurrendered will, which is sort of like narcissism. It's that nothing is higher than my own desires. I'm not going to surrender to any kind of ethic or higher principle. And
evil, what was it again? Surrenders to no will?
It's the unsurrendered will.
Okay.
What I want is law. What I want is the only God that I will kneel down for. I don't recognize anything higher than myself. I think that's a pretty decent working definition of evil. Now, it's not that women can't do this. It's like Ayn Rand did objectivism, but there's not a lot of female philosophers. There's not a lot of females who have personal, you know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of female Batmans who are surrendering to a certain personal code that they live by and they might die by. So what you're saying about men potentially wielding power better than women comes, I think, from the fact that men often will have these personal codes that they're willing to surrender their behavior to more often than women do.
Damn.
So they can potentially handle it more responsibly because they see themselves as submitting to a higher purpose. And so they're actually just implementing this higher code. That is enlightened leadership.
There's a phrase, all I have in this world is my balls and my word, right? And there's a phrase as well to touch that I'm a man of my word. I've never heard anything that says I'm a woman of my word or I'm a woman of integrity. Like these codes and these phrases and these sayings, there's no feminine saying version of it typically. It's typically a masculine thing. Honor, code, adhering to something, being honorable, all these things. Like we don't hold women to these masculine traits, right?
No.
So, I mean, maybe sexual fidelity, right? That's a component of loyalty. But with everything else, we don't really hold women to those same standards. We kind of tell men, do what's right. And we tell women, do what's right for you. That's a fantastic way to put it, why men need to be in the roles, because men are more likely to have a code, and that code will keep the evil at bay.
And there's a lot of spineless men out there who are in positions of power that are very, it's hard to follow them. And they're not doing a lot of good in those positions.
I got to give you a down, Marco. That was awesome. And it was absolute power absolutely corrupts.